Happy Halloween, faithful viewers! I'm here again for another episode of I Played a Thing, Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. And today's Salad is sporting her Monster Girl costume, which consists of Vangarl's helm, the Desert Sorceress top, and the cat pants. Now, we've got a fair bit of preliminary stuff to get through today, so we will get right to work on that. Let's see, what do we have to do for starters? Oh yes, we've got a couple of fire seeds, and we should probably cash those in and get our pyro hand upgraded. I think this will be enough to max out the standard pyro hand, which will be nice.
I'm glad to...
Yes, we're at +8. We've got 2 fire seeds, so that will knock that down. And then we could technically start upgrading the dark pyro hand, but I don't know if that's really a good use of my souls, and, well, it would be a good use of my fire seeds, because there's nothing else to do with them except sell them to Gavlan.
I'm always here.
Although if I get any more, maybe I should look into that, because I don't know how much Gavlan actually offers for them. Let's see, what else have we got? Oh yes, we can stop in at Malin's shop, because as we know from past experience, he tends to sell a lot of boss armor. And now, after we've dealt with the Looking Glass Knight, he should have the armor of that particular individual.
You need armor?
Now, I think this all has the same flavor text. Yep, that appears to be the case. So this is the equipment worn by the Looking Glass Knight. Made of metal, but has high lightning defense. Those who wish to serve the king as loyal warriors must take the king's passage and face the Looking Glass Knight. Those who fail the test are sacrificed by the merciless specular monstrosity. Vendrick is a very strict employer. That armor's a little heavier than I like to wear, although it does look pretty cool, so I'm not actually going to buy it, but thought you might be interested in the flavor text, so thought I'd stop by. Alright, moving along, we've got what else? Oh yes, we've got a something. And we always want to trade in our something. Well, on the subject, sort of tangentially, of employers, I do have some bad news, which is that I heard back after my recent job interview, and I did not get the job. For perfectly reasonable reasons. My interview was fine, my qualifications just weren't quite what they wanted for the position. On the bright side, however, I did on Thursday have my first session with my new VO guru, and I am pleased to report it went wonderfully. I mean, we worked together from the very beginning, far better than I ever worked with the first guy. And not to disparage him, I mean, he did know his subject, but we just weren't destined to work well together, whereas, I think with this new teacher, there's real potential for something to work out in the longer term, and maybe if I'm lucky, I can take it far enough to get a demo produced and maybe audition for some paying gigs. It is a merciless business, and the odds are always long, even with all the cards lining up the right way otherwise, but, you know, I actually feel hopeful about this, to some extent. And I'm not going to put all my eggs in that particular basket, but hey, who knows? It's good to feel hopeful about something. Anyway, we got a Twinkling Titanite, which is definitely a plus, because, as I've mentioned so many times, those are not always easy to come by. And I think that might just give us enough to finish upgrading Havel's Great Shield, even if I can't properly use it yet. So let's stop by and find out. Oh, more than we need, in fact. Perfect.
I'll be around.
I'll make it back, worry not about that. Alright, and while I'm thinking of blacksmiths, we also have the soul of the Looking Glass Knight. And there's nothing at all that our buddy, Strayed can do with that, so it's all Ornifex this time. And that means we will have to head on back to Brightstone Cove Seldora for a moment or two. And this is why I make a point of always activating the bonfire in this optional spot in Seldora. Let's get the spiders activated so we can take out as many of them at one time as possible. Nope, got a piece of me, but that's alright. Actually, I really kind of wish I was strong enough at this point to use Havel's Great Shield, because the next area that we have to do in the main thread of the... Oh! Hi, Spider! As I started to say there, the next area we have to do for proper progression, it would be very useful because we'll have some very annoying magic chucking opponents, and the Havel Great Shield has excellent magic block, but it is not our destiny to have that advantage, and we'll make it through all the same. First time I ever did that area, it was without the Havel Great Shield, and that area was actually worse at the time. In Scholar and in more recent patches of the vanilla game, said area has been nerfed a bit. A rare act of mercy from FromSoft. Let's see, can I safely get over there to whatever that mage dropped? And that's not a bad little drop either. Alright, Orny, what can you make out of Mirror Guy? Looks like we could make the Thorned Greatsword, or the King's Mirror. The Thorned Greatsword is a greatsword forged from the soul of the Looking-Glass Knight. The strong attack unleashes its latent power. Fearing something wicked, the king fled the castle and never returned, but his warrior, forever true to his command, stands ready to expunge those who would challenge him. And this does have a special attack, which I believe is some kind of lightning blast, or a lightning-infused sword swing or something like that. Looks like it requires a fair bit of faith, so we wouldn't really be able to use that. The strength and dex scaling are both decent, though. And the King's Mirror is a great shield. Created from the soul of the Looking-Glass Knight, can deflect spells. The Looking-Glass at the castle is said to have been a passage to another world. Now that is something the Looking-Glass Knight himself can do. If you try and use magic on him, he's pretty good at reflecting it. The way it works for you is, if you do the shield bash with R2, I'm sorry, with L2, and have the spell hit while you're doing the shield bash, then you can indeed spell parry with it, which is quite an unusual thing to be able to do with a great shield. Probably not a shield we'll be really using because we've got so many better ones, but this does seem to be the better choice for us, so I'll go ahead and take that. While I'm here, how many of these do I have? Oh, 19, that's really plenty. Yeah, I was thinking about picking up some flame butterflies, but I don't really need them.
Come back again if you find another soul.
Thank you, Orange, I'll do that. Oh, what did someone write at the dolls? I don't even want to know. Alright, that is most of our preliminaries sorted out. We do have... Oh, I left a thing over here. Oh, great Scythe. If you were Dark Souls 1, I'd be very happy right now, but you are not Dark Souls 1. Actually, if it were Dark Souls 1, I would already have one. Anywho, we have one more optional stop to take, and that's going to be in dear old Castle Dranglake, because now that we have defeated the Looking-Glass Knight, old Chancellor Veliger will have a few new items for sale. I don't think any of them are ones we're actually going to want to purchase. Oh, this isn't where I wanted to go. I don't think any of them will be ones we'll actually want to purchase, however, they do have some interesting flavor text, And the nature of their existence is kind of interesting as well. Yeah, there are pretty much always summon signs here because there are multiple boss fights you could try and go to at this point in the game. For right now, though, all I want to do is head back up and pay a visit to the Chancellor. Got you napping. Well, I kinda don't think I'm ever going to need a third greatsword, but the fact that I am now carrying 3 gigantic slabs of death iron around is just kind of fun in its own right.
Welcome, visitor. Our guests are treated with honor. This is the way of our castle. Tell me if you should require anything.
Yeah, look at that. He's got quite a bit of new stuff. I think it's all in the weapon category. Yep. Oh, and I can buy some more of his old Radiant Life Gems, so I will do that before I go spending any more money. Now then, all of the new things that appeared here are kind of an interesting origin to them. Or have kind of an interesting origin, I should say. They're the pre-order bonuses. All of the items that have now appeared in Veldier's inventory, aside from the ones that he already had, are things that you would get if you pre-ordered the special edition of this game. In that case, they would all appear in your inventory at the beginning of the game, and some of them would be quite good for starter items. At this point in the game, they're probably less interesting, but the fact that the game does actually give you a way to get the pre-order bonuses eventually, even if you didn't pre-order the game, I just thought that was kind of nice of them. The Black Flamestone Dagger is a dagger affixed with a black crystal, found deep inside the gutter in the Black Gulch. Heavier than a standard dagger, but with a fine crystal that gives it a smoother slice. Some of the more determined souls exiled to the gutter sought to scale the walls of the Forsaken Place and walk the earth once again, but failed, and wasted away mired in misery and resentment. That, I think, is the main piece of flavor text that I wanted to show you here, because it supports the whole idea that those pillars of trash that we saw in the gutter were from people, or hollows anyway, well, I guess they're still people, trying to build their way back up to the surface and resume their lives on the surface, although I suppose being hollow they wouldn't have much luck anyway. And this longsword was found in the Iron Keep, breaks easily due to corrosion, but is light and still inflicts very significant damage. In the old Iron King's Great Iron Keep was a vast collection of weapons erected as a display of strength to the world, but they were lost when the king's conceit doomed the castle to sink into a lake of fire. That's another neat thing about the pre-order equipment, I think, is that it gives you little bits of information about the world that, if you had them at the beginning of the game, would give you a little preview of what was to come. The bound hand axe is found in the Undead Purgatory. The chains and spikes wrapped around the axe cause bleeding, but weaken the axe's effectiveness when slashing. Accessories that are added to a weapon for the sole purpose of tormenting foes can often detract from the weapon's natural effectiveness. And the homunculus mace is found in the manor in Aldia. Heavier than a standard mace, but with more effective striking owing to its hard lumps. In the far eastern outskirts of Drang Lake lies an old manor that is now long forgotten, as it should be, for the things that lurk there are better left unknown. The homunculus mace is actually a pretty nice hammer if you're into that kind of thing. It doesn't have the standard hammer moveset, it has the blacksmith hammer moveset, shared by Leningrast's hammer and the craftsman's hammer. I believe it's statistically identical to the hammer that Leningrast gives you, except that it has a little bit of scaling in dex in addition to its scaling in strength, so it's a little bit better. Trivially so. Anyway, that ended up being my bread and butter weapon in my first playthrough. I used the homunculus right from the beginning of the game, because I had it for the pre-order, and I ended up using it as my kind of go-to all the way up to the end. Wasn't until my New Game Plus playthrough that I found the Greatsword and fell in love with that. And the Transgressor's Staff was found in the heart of the Dark Chasm. That's the challenge dungeon area that we'll eventually do as parts of the Pilgrims of Dark. No one knows what lies beyond the dark passages found across Drang Lake, but perhaps they are better left undisturbed. And the shields have the same kind of stuff to say, I believe. What about the Transgressor? That might be something different. No, that's more Dark Chasm stuff. Okay, that's pretty much everything here. I could probably take the Homunculus Mace as a slight upgrade over my Blacksmith Hammer, but for the amount of ore I'd have to pump into it, probably not worth the mild upgrade.
Gone so soon. Be safe on your travels.
I will, my friend, thank you. Alright, and one more thing. Let me see if I have enough souls here for a level. Oh, most definitely. I've got a consumable, too. Alrighty. So we'll make one more little stop back in Majula, and then we will finally be able to get back and put a little progress into the next area. Lots of sunbros hanging out around here. Actually, I should make sure I capture that dialogue, because it is new dialogue. Once you've reached the castle, she starts to say some new things about the Bearer of the Curse routine.
Bearer of the curse, I will always be at your side until hope has fully withered.
So now it's Bearer until instead of Bearer Seek Seek Lest. And we really do want to eventually have access to our highest tier of Great Shield, so we will keep pumping up that strength. Ooh, another point. Don't mind if I do. Right then, it's on to the next area that we started into after defeating the Looking Glass Knight and progressing through the possible secret exit to the castle, the Shrine of Amana, dedicated to the veneration of quality home appliances. Now, how this is gonna go worries me a little the way I've been playing lately, and given my hopes to start playing a little better, because I have a real love-hate relationship with the Shrine of Amana. It's one of the nicest looking areas in the game, I think. It's got some very pretty scenery. But it's a wide open map, combined with enemies that can spew magic damage at you from a very great distance, and a pretty tough enemy loadout in general. Also, it has lots of paths that are kind of hard to see. I'm going to be very glad for my cast light in this area. As a matter of fact, I think I am going to not worry about my item drop and put on my Lingering Dragon Crest ring just so I can get a little more mileage out of each charge of cast light. I think we've got a little bit of treasure over here. And one of our new enemy types, the sort of standard melee enemy of this area. Can't remember what they're called offhand, although if they drop any of their gear, I'm sure we'll find out. Oh, that was not quite subtle enough. But I got a falling death, and I suppose there's something to be said for that. Try attacking is good advice, because if you do attack here and knock down that corpse, you'll be able to collect it when you start exploring the ground level. Anyway, the reason Cast Light is going to be so useful to me here is that it's a lot like things were in the, whatchamacallit, the Darkroot Basin back in Dark Souls 1. That is to say, there are paths that are not easily seen because they're hidden a bit under the water. Be wary of chest, the message out there said. Doesn't look like a mimic, so it may be a trap. We'll be ready. It doesn't look like there's anything wrong with it at all. Decent items, too. Anyway, yeah, this is a really nice-looking area, but it's a very, very irritating one. We'd be a little better off if we could deflect more of the magic damage, but we cannot, so we'll just have to play it careful. Fortunately, as I mentioned, this area has been nerfed a bit. You'll see the magic attacks that some of the enemies like to spam at us will have pretty decent tracking. Well, the tracking was even better in the original release of the game. I guess they decided it was a little too good, and so in another of the fairly rare acts of mercy by FromSoft. Oh, these guys. We'll find more about that in a bit, but for now, what you'll need to know is that when you see fireflies hovering over a spot in the water, there's going to be an enemy there. Just something to be careful of. That guy over there doesn't seem to have noticed us yet, so we'll just explore a little more while we're here. I don't think we can actually do anything in this direction yet, but I could be mistaken, so I'll check it out. What the hell am I talking about? This is where I came from. That is a pretty awesome boulder. And yes, for the record, I am not putting you on. My sense of direction really is that bad. Some lovely singing going on here. I wonder what that could be about. Alright, the gentleman with the pole arm there will... No, he's going the wrong way. He's not going to notice us, so we'll get his attention the hard way. Are these the Archdrake soldiers? I think that might be what they are. So you can see there we've got another of those kind of zombie-ish looking enemies in the water there, with a giveaway the fireflies hovering overhead, so we will approach carefully and get the drop on them. Notice they have a big tail, so I guess they're more lizard men than zombies. Anyway, a whole bunch of them around this island, but if we proceed carefully, we should be able to take them out as necessary. Not sure I entirely trust the terrain here, though, so let's go ahead and pop off a light spell. Little illumination greatly helps in seeing where the drop-offs are, because as you can see, some of the ground here is safe to walk on. There is actual terrain under the water, but in other places it's going to be a straight-up drop-off. One thing working in your favor here is, even when the fireflies are not available, you can lock on to the lizard men hiding under the water, so if you just click the lock-on button every now and then, you will be able to tell when there's someone around. More refugees, we like that. And this was a safe place to walk. Oh yes! I don't want to forget about that thing we knocked down from the corpse hanging on the branches up above. And that's going to be over here behind these little spires of rock. Well, once again, I'm going to make sure I have safe footing. And we will work our way around. Keeping an eye out, of course, for any risky fireflies. And yep, you can see there's a drop-off there that would be all but invisible if we didn't have a light source. Thankfully we do. And of course a torch would also be a legitimate way to approach the whole light requirement here, but you know how I am. I like being able to have my great shield on hands at all times. Oh, there was something else on the little island over there. I missed that. Oh, it's probably something the lizard man dropped and I just didn't stick around through the death animation. Just some trochies, but as always, better to have things we don't need than need things we don't have. Whoops, that was clumsy. Oh, and whoop, got me napping. So I was starting to say, these columns with the torch burning on them, it is possible to light a torch off of those if you need to. This area is fairly generous with sources of light should you need them. I don't think there's anything over there I need to go chasing after. Alright, you will notice as we approach this little hut, the singing stopped. And here's the reason. This lovely lady here must have noticed our approach, and she was the one singing, so she stopped because she heard someone coming. Now let us assure her that we mean no harm.
We knew you were coming. And stopped singing. We are Milfanito. We are here to sing to those bound by death and dark.
The MILFs of Nito, huh? I guess the first of the dead is into older women.
We will sing here, forever. As we always have, from long, long ago. We know nothing of the world outside. And why should we? For we will never leave. Do you seek King Vendrick? But what is a king, after all? We know nothing of the world outside. For we will never leave here.
You mentioned.
When we sing, the little ones dance. The little ones grant comfort to those who bear death and dark. This is what we were taught.
Now, the astute folks among you may have already figured it out, but what she's talking about when she says they sing and the little ones dance and give comfort to those who bear death and dark, what she means by that is her singing, or their singing, attracts the fireflies and causes them to cluster around and comfort the lizard men. Pacify them, essentially. So, when she was singing, the lizard men all had the fireflies clustered around them, giving away their position and reducing their aggro range. Currently, when she's not singing, those telltale fireflies will not be present, and so the lizard men can kind of sneak up on you.
Is there anything wrong? Perhaps this will help.
Aw, thanks.
This is all that we can do. When we sing, this.
Alright then, well, don't let me stop you. As a matter of fact, I'd greatly appreciate it if you would start singing again. Oh, the reason we've been hearing that creepy laughter is because there's a curse jar on the roof. But if we just speed through here, it won't give us too much hassle. Now then, now that we're through the hut, things start to really open up here, and I think there are some treasures scattered fairly far and wide. Nothing in the immediate area though, so we probably don't have to worry just yet. But yeah, you have to be fairly careful with your walking if you stray off the stone path, because you never really know where those drop-offs are going to be. And also, there's no singing from the MILF of Nito at this point, so we do have to be careful and keep an eyeball out for movement in the water. We don't want any of those lizard folk just kind of going surprise on us. Fortunately, when they're not being lulled into calmness by the fireflies, you can see they stick out of the water a bit more, so at least you have a little more of a visual warning. They do also, however, have a greater aggro radius, so they're more likely to come after you. Fortunately, it seems like the MILF is no longer worried about us and willing to show off her pipes again, so we have our fireflies back. Oh, nice, they can drop over Radiant Life Gems. That is a very nice random drop. Don't know if we'll get many of them, but I'm willing to take as many as they'll give me. Oop, forgot about their combo there. You may have noticed I have a little problem with forgetting about how many hits there are in enemy combos. It's a bad habit of mine. Yeah, I think, if memory serves, which it may not, that these guys are members of the Archdrake sect. And that you can get Archdrake gear if they are kind enough to drop it. That was pretty amusing. Ragdoll Physics, your friend and mine. Alright, I think it's going to be safe to step here. Keep an eyeball on the ground level just to be safe. Ah, this makes me so nervous. I'm putting on light. Would help if I could stop forgetting which hand my my catalyst is in. Oh, another advantage to using cast light here instead of a torch is, as I've mentioned before, using a torch does produce visible light to enemies, whereas cast light is light that is only visible to you, and therefore it will help keep you from getting noticed more easily. Lots of consumables there. Ain't complaining. I don't think there's anything over there I need to worry about. I may miss some incidental treasure here and there, but you'll forgive me, won't you? Oop, got careless there. The damage from the Lizardmen isn't too horrible, but as you can see, on a successful strike they do cause quite a bit of bleed buildup. Alright, we've got a nicely hidden chest here, which will hopefully be worth the trouble. That's debatable. Right then, onward. Enemies to the left. I'm not surprised to hear it, because we certainly have a big cluster of fireflies there. Oh, but first we've also got some of those acidic beetles that we first encountered in Earthen Peak. However, they're not actually poison beetles this time, they're corrosive beetles. So you'll want to avoid their gas if you don't want damage to your equipment. And we don't want damage to our equipment, whoever wants that. Lizard guys are not particularly horrible enemies, but nevertheless dealing with them one at a time is still advisable. It's really a good idea with any enemy type in a Souls game. Well, looks like that's our last one in there, so we'll go ahead and rush him. Still enjoying the hell out of that jumping chop. Hint ahead. Try beating to a pulp. Well, he's not wrong, but... Yep, I'm afraid that gap is impossible. But the chest isn't. Lots and lots of lovely treasure here. Yes, as this message implies, right around this fog gate is where the Shrine of Amana starts to take the gloves off and the casters start to show up. Combined with all the other enemies there are to worry about, the casters are what are going to really give you your lion's share of headaches here. On the bright side, this is the nicest looking part of the Shrine of Amana, or at least it's where things start to look particularly cool with all those glowing plants and such. Now, right in front of me, if you look just to the right of my greatsword, you'll see in the distance a human figure standing there holding a staff. That is one of the casters. They can hit you from, well, they can notice and start shooting at you from quite a distance away. But fortunately, their range isn't full line of sight, so we can snipe one down from here. Matter of fact, I think I will. Oh, she got a shot off. I will sidestep, and you see it tracks me pretty well. Now imagine that the tracking was a lot better in the 1.0 release of the game, and yeah, this area could be a real bitch if you were careless about aggroing the casters. Well, let's go ahead and power up our light source again, because I'm not entirely sure of where the path is here. Also, you will notice again there's no singing, which means that the lizard men are very active and alert. And I think there are some around here, so we'll want to keep our eyes open. I wouldn't mind a horse in all this water. The messages here seem a bit discouraged. That's pretty understandable in this area. I'm going to go ahead and rest to get my Estus back and my light charges. Of course, that does mean the caster we just sniped will be restored to activity. But we can just snipe her again. Yeah, you see how much farther away the lizard men start to come after you when they're not being fireflied into submission. Anything around this side? No, it doesn't look that way. Okay, she still doesn't see me from this distance. And that is how I like it. Oh, did I ever max out my C-bow? Nope, it's still only a +7. Next time I find myself in Majula, I should see if I have enough ore to finish upgrading that. Haven't gotten a lot more chunks, I don't think, but I got some more. You will forgive me for proceeding with caution. I don't remember where all of the casters are stationed in this area. Oh, there's one. Yeah, wow, they can really curve their bullets. And just imagine, their ability to do so used to be far, far better. Fun. Alright, poke your head out. There we are. Naturally, being wizardly types, they are quite squishy, and if you manage to get close to them, then they're not that hard to take out, but they can put quite a few shots on you before you get that far. Interesting, I did not remember there being an old knight here. Something added for Scholar I suspect that I just completely forgot about from my test run. But anyway, aside from some statistical enhancements, they're just the same as any stone knight we previously encountered. Of the hammer type. Let's see, any casters on the radar? Not that I can see. Anything fun over here on the ramp, though? And yes, there is a hippo over there, and that means that that area off the beaten path is worth investigating. But we'll take that as it comes. Oh, hello. Yeah, the combination of non-pacified lizards and casters can really kind of mess with you sometimes. Matter of fact, let's make sure we get the lizards cleared out of this immediate area before we start trying to put one over on the caster there. And get my bow ready, then I'm gonna creep out of cover when the timing seems right. Can I shoot her? No. Bet I can now, though. And with this caliber, at this range, even if I miss, I can't miss. Let's see, can I get up on the ramp there? No. Oh, come on, I want to climb the ramp. Alright, I'll deal with the mage first. Okay, I'm gonna take that one on the chin, but I'll just go ahead and take the damage so I can get this caster finished with. Alright, reasonable trade for a single Estus. There we go. Yeah, I suppose this does make a respectable sniper spot. After all, there's one thing every good sniper needs, and that's elevation. And from here I can indeed see another caster. Sucks to be her. Alright, we can see a sizable armored figure off in the distance there. That is actually a dragon rider. Every now and then they do show up in the in the second half of the game anyway, as a normal enemy. I believe what is over there is not something we can actually do anything with now, but at some point we will want to go see what that dragon rider is guarding. If it's what I think it is, though, that's something that is not relevant to us in any way at this point in the game, so no sense in mucking about with it now. Now the hippo over there. I'm gonna go ahead and poison him to make things a little simpler on us. Where is it going? Oh, is that another caster? I think it is. And I think the poor hippo's pathing has gotten a little bit confused. Well, that's okay by me. That gives me an opportunity to pump another pile of poison arrows into it. Yeah, I don't think the hippo has any idea what to do about being attacked at this distance. Well, good news for it and bad news for me. That was nice and backwards. I meant to say bad news for it, good news for me. Alright then. Now at this point I will definitely want to be giving myself a light source, because I'm sure it's going to be treacherous to move around in this spot. In this area, I should say. Yep, drop off right there that I probably wouldn't have seen had I not my light source handy. And we don't want to look too closely at the ground, lest we have more lizards sneak up on us. Caught that one napping, though. Alright, when you see ruins like this, gates and such, usually that means there's going to be something worth exploring around here. So we will continue onward, proceeding with care. Proceeding with light. Oh, hello, caster. Can I backstab? Can I backstab? No, but it doesn't matter because they go down with one shot anyway. Don't really need a fire seed, but that's okay, I'll take it. Let's see, any more goodies around here? We do want to be thorough, we do. Oh. There's me being careless about combos again. Oh, what prey is this? nothing, I think. I can't interact with it. And we are burning through our light castings at the moment, but that is what they're for. Speaking of castings... Ooh, there are 2 there. Well, all the more opportunity to snipe them from a distance, I suppose. Hello! Why'd you stop? You know I didn't leave, right? I am going through a lot of arrows here, but just like the light castings, that's what they're for. Won't do me any good sitting around forever unused, right? Right. And we do, I believe, have a fairly generous supply of herbs if we do need to restore some spell casting. Up, therefore, look carefully. Well, it's pretty. Caster ahead? Is there? Oh, yep, I see her. Thanks, message. Got one off. Fortunately, we've got cover around. Really coming a long way out here. I hope there's something worthwhile. I mean, I do remember there was some kind of item around here somewhere, but what it actually was, that I don't recall. That time I remembered the combo. Alright, any more lizard dudes to worry about? Yep, I see one right there. Thank you, message. Even with a light source, that was an easy one to miss. Oh! And they are laying the casters on quite thick. Alright, let's see if she gets bored and quits chucking magic. That would be very kind. Whoops. Wrong button. Whoopsie doodles. Alright, narrow path here, making me very glad for my light source. At the end, there is an Estus Flask shard, and that is a very worthy prize indeed. I'm well pleased with that. Oh, and Sunlight Blade. We're not going to have nearly the faith we need for that, but... well, it's nice to have things in the collection, isn't it? We'll go ahead and look at that now that our light source is out for the moment. An ancient miracle of the sun. Reinforces weapon in other hand with sunlight, a form of lightning. The sun grants life to all things upon the earth, even if the worshippers of sunlight no longer bless the servants with their presence. I don't know, there are still a few of us around. Praise it every day. I think we're starting to get closer to the beaten path. I won't have to be quite so paranoid about my footing. Oh yeah, I remember passing by that message. It was a good message. Alright, last of our cast lights for the moment, but if we end up needing more before I get to the next bonfire, again, we can always pop an herb or two. It's all groovy. Oh! Got me napping. But you, Mr. Archdrake, you're not gonna catch me napping. Because I'm gonna bait you. I'm gonna bait you if you'll stop making me lead you more than I'm conscious of doing. One thing that can help a bit is that enemies do not tend to stupidly wander off cliffs around here, so that can give you a little idea of where the ground is. I see there's another Archdrake way off to the left there. I don't know what he's all about. Not sure if it's anything worth getting or if there's anything we can actually do over there at this point, but I'm going to give myself some spell uses back, and we're going to go investigate. How many did that give me? 3. Not bad. I see a lizard sticking out of the water there. Now you see it, now you don't. Now this looks like the path. Whoa, that guy saw me from a long way off. That's okay, just means I get alerted to his presence. Hey, Archdrake. I'm pretty sure that's what these guys are. Kinda wish one of them would drop some equipment so I could tell for sure. Don't you shield bash me. As always, we will carefully monitor the ground for signs of death pits. Oh, that wasn't an Archdrake, that was a caster. Looked like an Archdrake from a distance. Looks like she's forgotten me, so it's safe to sneak out from cover and pincushion her. On the other side of the column, I believe I saw another lizard. Yep. Oh, and I think I see a hippo. Can I pop these roots with an arrow? I can. Awesome. That means I'll have another poison opportunity here. And it will take the hippo a little more time to work through the roots here. Get enough space to come after me, which is fine by me. And wow, it seems to have kind of lost interest. Or just gotten confused. The hippo's pathfinding really does not seem to be very good at finding its way to you over a substantial distance. That's fine by me. And I hope, dear viewers, you can bear the rather heavy amount of arrow cheesing I'm doing here, but really in the Shrine of Amana, it really pays to play it safe. That was a not terribly exciting treasure. What about this? Anything better? Oh, life ring +2 and a new dress. Free clothing, never to be turned down. Where it at? Ah, here we are. Dress worn by a far-gone muse. Offers almost no physical defense, but is blessed with high resistance to magic. These enchanting singers were given song by the great dead one, and have little concept of self. They live only to sing, and will continue singing until they can do so no longer. Oh, great dead one. They are indeed the MILFs of Nino. Praise Jah, it's time for more herb. And we are kind of burning through the herbs, but as we are generally not a big spell slinger, that's fine. We're not going to need massive quantities of them, I shouldn't think. Alright, over there I see some more enemies. There I believe is an Archdrake. And you know what they say, make 'em come to you. Oh, did I get the attention of 2 of them there? Not quite what I wanted, but I think we can deal with it. Yeah, that actually worked out very nicely. And a nice drop, too. The caster over there might be a slightly different one. I'm gonna leave her alone for the moment and see if there's something special I can do when we get there. I might be wrong about this, but we'll find out in due course. And once again, make sure I have safe footing. And I'm gonna make my way back to the path. Yep, looks good. And again, I really do enjoy the look of this area. Oh, no, she's a regular caster. Alright, that's fine. We'll wait for a break in the shots, and then... Oop, that's not how you wait for a break in the shots. Well, again, only cost us 1 chug of the Sunny D, so I'm fine with it. Anyway, there was a house over here that we did not poke our heads into, so I shall now do so. If I can get back up on the path here. Can I jump it? Can I even jump in the water? That's a negative. Maybe if I go around this way. No! How do I do this? I think we've cleared out enemies for the moment, so I'm going to go ahead and use a torch instead of my light magic. Just conserve a little bit of that. Here we go. Oh, hi. Oh, shit. Ladies and gentlemen, the downside of a torch. Got these guys' attention from well further than I normally would. Damn it, I really thought there might be something in here. Oh, there is. Smooth and silky. Old Radiant Life Gem and a nice consumable. Ain't complaining. Lone Hunter Schmidt, you're kind of terrible. Now, I believe in the vanilla game there was a different summon here instead of Schmidt. That summon has been moved a little, whoa, later into the level. There I am forgetting my combos again. But yes, that other summon will meet in the not terribly distant future. Now then, all the stuff over there, I don't believe we're meant to get there from here. I think that's for later in the level, so we'll pay no mind to that for the moment. Alright, I think it's not going to be too far to our next bonfire, so I'm just going to hang on to the torch for now. And I'm very impressed with Salad's ability to roll through the water without getting her torch wet. It is Monster Girl powers. That's what it is. It's got to be the costume. Oh, another caster over there. Is that one of the special ones? Ooh, no, the one looking at me right now is, because she's looking right at me and not casting. Oh, I see what the difference is. She does not have a staff. Okay, I did not realize that, but that's a reliable way to tell the difference. Good to know. Alright, I am going to go ahead and use my last cast light here, just in case the game feels like throwing me a curve and putting any death drops in the way. And here at the top of the ramp, we have a prize. Couple of alluring skulls, which is not terribly thrilling, but... thanks, message. Anyway, the caster over here is a healer. If there are enemies around that are hurting a bit, she can cast a healing spell on them to restore some of their HP. The thing is, though, she has absolutely no attack ability. Can't do a single thing to you. That's why she's just staring at us and backing away slowly. There is something kind of hilarious that I could potentially do with this particular enemy type. I'm not sure if I have equipment that will make it work at this point in the game. What I need... I think I might just have too much strength. Let me see if I can find a great hammer that I don't have upgraded at all and that doesn't have terribly high damage on it. Yeah, the large club is not too bad. 26. Yeah, I think the large club is our best shot. I'm not sure if this is going to work, but I would like to try. If it doesn't work, I'll explain to you what would have happened. I'm going to just creep on up and see if I can two-hand smash her into the ground. Oh, I can. Awesome. Alright, the wonderful thing here is, in addition to not having any ability to attack, the healing caster's AI doesn't know how to get up. If you knock her down, she'll just stay there forever. Now, even on land, this would be kind of hilarious, but in water, it's even funnier. Because look, she still has health, I can still lock on, so she's not dead. But since drowning in non-death pit water isn't actually a thing in Souls games, she'll just lie there breathing water forever. And you know, I could finish her off, but no, I think this is better somehow. Moving on. Let's see, is there anything along the right side here? I'm not sure if that's all Death Pit or if there might be anything there. We'll go ahead and torch it for the immediate. Okay, it's all Death Pit, so that's all stuff we'll need to do later in the level. Let's just go ahead and proceed onward through the fog gate for the immediate. Alright, we have, I believe, a bonfire coming up soon, but first we've got a bunch of corrosive beetles in our way. Yep, as you can see, orange gas instead of green. That means it is weapon breakage. On the bright side, it won't poison you and it won't damage you. Whoops, that was bad. Well, it didn't break anything. And I do see summon signs up ahead, which probably means bonfire. It does. Yep, there's one. Go ahead and finish off the beetles first. Observe also the very large beetle up ahead. It doesn't tend to advance on you much, though. It mostly just stands there spewing its corrosive gases, so we can take it out like so. I'll go ahead and do that for the souls before I hit the bonfire there. I think it is susceptible to poison, so we'll go ahead and see if that works out. If not, it does die pretty quickly from arrows alone. That'll do nicely. Oh, shit cakes. Well, at least we know where we'll resurrect if the Dark Spirit should get the better of us. This is a human, by the way, not an NPC invasion. Hey, Zeus. He's got a craftsman's hammer. Can't say as I don't approve of his taste in weaponry. Ooh. He's got some faith. I think I just got lag blasted from that magic. Oh. Oh. Well, this is actually turning out to be a decent fight, which is somewhat unusual for me in a PvP situation. Oh, he do like his faith attacks. Got anything left in the chamber there? Oh! Alright, that was a respectable fight. Thank you, that was a good match. Alright then, at least we did get our bonfire lit, so I can go ahead and recover my souls quickly and warp on back out. Because we're about at the 1 hour mark. So I think this will make for a very good time. We'll go ahead and get our Estus Flask upgraded and then call it a game. Well, not a game, but a day. Yeah, geez, the Monster Girl costume doesn't look so good anymore, does it? We'll go ahead and flesh up so we can sign off in style. But first...
Is that a shard you found?
You bet it is.
Here, to see however...
Alright, that is 11 chugs of the Sunny D we now have in our bottle. Very cool. And there's nothing we need to spend money on with any immediacy, so let's go ahead and pull ourselves out a level or two. We'll bring strength up to 40, and we'll drop one into vitality. Because that shield is going to be very heavy, and we may need a little more vitality to carry it without fat rolling, even when we have the strength requirements. Now then, I also did have a goodly supply of consumables from our looting of the shrine. Let's see what that'll amount to. Don't think that's gonna be quite enough. Nope, not by a good shot. Well, that's alright. We also got a pretty good supply of Smooth and Silkies while we were in the Shrine of Amana, so let's go ahead and cash those in so we don't have to worry about in the prelim stage next time. It just occurs to me the only time I died today was versus the Invader. Have I actually turned a corner on my playing? We can only hope. Shush! Human effigies are always welcome. It's not an exciting treasure, but a very practical one. Okay. Well, if you want to keep giving me those for the standard size of stone, I guess I can't complain about that. Divine Blessing is a pretty practical reward, too. I'm pretty satisfied with the gachapon. Well, the Poison Stone I really don't need, but all in all, a very respectable haul. And with that, I guess that's about enough for today. As always, folks, I hope you've enjoyed the journey, and I very much appreciate your coming along with me on it. And I hope that you have an excellent Halloween. Whether you are partying, just enjoying a quiet evening at home, or stuck on the workforce, I hope it is very kind to you. Take care, and I'll see you very soon. It is always a treat to have such very kind patrons as Justin Carpenter, Nolden, Zangamarth, Charlie Dunst, Anonymous Benefactor, John Madigan, Johnny Millennium, Sanguine Games, Misha Van Doren, Craig Patterson, Frank Grizzy, Tim J., Lolo De Puzzlo, Joshua C. Ritchie, Jared C. Rice, Darren Chow, Sonic Rose, EX Potemkin, Alicia Goranson, Argyle Jelly, Mechasaurus, DJ Jono, and Doug Russell. Very grateful as well for the rest of my kind patrons, and to all of you commenter subscribers and watchers. Next update is going to find us in the month of November, where I will have a few updates to the patron list. In the meantime, I wish you all the best, and I hope you have a most excellent Halloween weekend.